Hello, beautiful souls. My name is Jessie, and welcome back to another episode of Rewire to Inspire. The show where we'll dive into self-love, learn tangible ways to rewire the brain, and discovering your soul's purpose. The goal of Rewire to Inspire is to encourage listeners to begin doing the hard work, to get curious and open to maximizing your life. Our mindset shapes how we live. Depending on life events, traumas, and personal experiences, our mindsets are all vastly different. However, one thing we all have in common is the ability to rewire our mind, to change the narrative, and to pivot our lives. I hope you leave each episode with the belief that you are so worthy to live a life true to you. I look forward to chatting with you every single Tuesday and Thursday and helping you grow exponentially in all areas of your life. Without further ado, here's today's episode. Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to my podcast, Rewire to Inspire. I am your host, Jessie Brown, and I am so excited to be jumping on the microphone with you all for episode number 112. As I highlighted on my last episode, I'm recording these episodes back to back, so if I am still seeming a little robotic, is that a word? Robotic is probably the word. Through video, I took a rib out / hurt my shoulder super bad, and I cannot move my neck. And so if it also sounds like I'm holding my breath, kind of Darth Vader vibes today, I'm not a Star Wars fan, FYI. Fun fact. But that is what's going on. But nonetheless, as mentioned, we keep momentum. We keep going. We hustle through. After this, I'm probably going to lay down for a couple minutes because it is hurting. But I emotionally, mentally, etc. I'm so excited to be jumping on the microphone with you all. And today's episode is one that, oh gosh, I'm so excited to share with you guys because this has been a big realization for me lately. And so I hope that it lands home for you guys. And if I can go through massive pain and years of feeling things to be able to jump on here in a 20 to 30 minute podcast and share them with you and one person can learn from it, bada boom, bada bing, my job is complete. So the title of today's episode, and I'm going to get into really what I mean by it, but it's, are you giving your soul what it actually needs? So you guys, really my whole life, as long as I can remember, I have been more of like masculine energy vibes. And so I've always loved quote unquote girly things, but my nature has always been to be more into sports, be more rough, be mentally tough, like just pretend like I have my shit together, just feeling, again, that very masculine vibe energy. And my mentality would always be work your hardest and try your best and grind it out and go and be rough and be tough and be all these things. And I think the reason for that now is recognizing that I wanted to avoid vulnerability and emotions and goo goo gaga, lovey-dovey, mushy-gushy stuff like the plague. And I recognize now the reason for that is likely because I was never really demonstrated that. And likely because my parents were never demonstrated that. Both my mom and dad's side of the family are both very much like this, in that we just figure things out, we get it together, we keep grinding, we keep going. And it's very few and far between that I see my family lead into that vulnerable side of things. And so reflecting back, it makes sense. And that's where I find compassion for myself. But when I ask the question, are you giving your soul what it actually needs? I don't mean day-to-day things. I don't mean, are you needing to watch a movie right now? Are you needing to go to the spa? Are you needing a bath right now? I don't mean that. I mean fundamentally, bigger than surface level, your life, are you giving your soul what it actually needs? Because what my soul actually needs and has been needing is vulnerability. It is love. It is kindness. It is compassion. It is more of that feminine energy. And I give myself grace, again, of knowing I was never shown that, to the point that, to me, that stuff is super, super uncomfortable. But lately, I've been realizing that my surface level truth was so incorrect of what it was that I was needing. Until last week when I hit a breaking point. I hit a wall. I was at this women's empowerment event, which was phenomenal, but I was not doing well. And I recognized that I was having a hard time talking to anybody. I was having a hard time being in my body. I was having a hard time being present. And although I had externally stuff going on, it still wasn't really normal for me to feel this way to this extent. And on the way home, I ended up breaking down mentally. I felt like I couldn't breathe. I was overwhelmed. I couldn't stop crying. And I ended up calling my partner and I said, I don't know what's going on with me. I don't know why I'm feeling this way. I don't know what's going on. And I leaned a little more into that vulnerable side. And it's almost like my body and my brain took a deep breath of like, finally, you're allowed to feel your friggin' emotions and actually feel them. You're allowed to cry. It's a beautiful thing. And looking back now, I realized it was all of my stuff, but it was also all the emotions of everybody that was in that room. It was a powerful day, you guys, of just looking at our ancestors and women before us and all the crap that they had to get through to where we are now, and like just with women's rights and very feminist approach. And it was amazing. It was so powerful, so up my alley. But I recognized that as an empath, I was feeling the energy of literally everybody in that room simultaneously, plus all my 24 years of suppression, boom, hit me like a ton of dynamite. And I broke down. But the thing is I have always taken the healer, the fixer, the supporter role in my life. I mean, hello, I was a counselor, I'm a social worker, I now work for the school board doing like the same thing. I'm a coach. Like I've just always leaned into that healer, helper, supporter role. But the thing is I never really truthfully gave myself that level of love in return. What I would tell a client to do is often what I know I need to do, but I would have a hard time doing so. Telling my clients to lean into vulnerability because I know that it works. I know that it's helpful, but I was avoiding it. And so my goal is for you to ask yourself, what has your soul been needing? Maybe since birth, maybe since childhood, maybe since 10 years ago, 20 years ago, maybe since the beginning of the pandemic. What is your soul needing? Is it connection? Is it vulnerability? Is it love? Is it compassion? Is it laughter? What is it that your soul is needing? This is going to be unique to each and every one of you listening, and I hope that you feel that and know that. We are all likely missing a part of the puzzle of our life, and we will often avoid the one that we have a toxic relationship with or the one that hasn't been safe to explore. My goal of today is for you guys, after listening to this, is to dig deep and ask yourself those hard questions. Are you actually giving yourself what you think you need? Or have you been suppressing it for so long that you might not even know what that thing is? You might be sitting there going, there might be something, but I've suppressed it for so long. Because I definitely didn't know 2 weeks ago that the thing that I was needing was more vulnerability and self-compassion. I didn't recognize that. It wasn't until a breaking point. And my hope is that I can help catch you guys before you get to that breaking point. So some things that I would have asked myself prior to this is, what are the things I typically avoid? What are the conversations I typically avoid? What are the things that I typically preach but I don't practice? What are the things that I admire about other people but I'm not giving to myself? That is typically where we will find the answers. Because again, we avoid typically things that give us mirrors, give us pain. We've had pain around before, haven't been comfortable for us, haven't been shown to us. But I'm talking these big surface level things that leak into so many areas of our life. Because since I've leaned into that, I've been able to cry more than I ever have in my life, which is a beautiful thing. Crying is a way of releasing and our body getting emotions out. I have been blocked to crying for years. Unless something is super overwhelming for me, I have a really hard time crying. And since I've opened that door, I'll say, to vulnerability and self-compassion, I've been able to let my body cry. And it's been so healing for me. What are those things for you that should you just shed a little bit of light on? And again, it's often the things that you didn't get as a child that are going to be coming up. That inner child work is so powerful, but I think what your soul is actually needing is what your inner child was actually needing. How can you go revisit him or her in a safe place to ask them? Is it love? Is it validation? Is it appreciation? Is it hug? Is it encouragement? Is it words? Is it actions? What is it that little you needed that you can now give yourself? Because there's often parts of that although we might be giving ourselves like the physical things that we didn't get as a child, I want you to ask yourself on a soul level, psychological level, emotional level, what are those things that you didn't get that you can now tend to? Again, we like to avoid those things because they bring up pain. So my encouragement is to be gentle with yourself. Depending where you're at with your healing journey, this question can be super overwhelming, or it might not seem like you have anything. Because I often played, that protector part of me came up of like, we don't have anything, that masculine approach, right? But once I let that wall down, I'm like, holy smokes, I have so much work to do. I have so much pain. I have so much hurt here. And I'm just loving on it more and more. And yes, it's been a roller coaster. And yes, it's been overwhelming. But at least now I have some awareness of what's been missing. On those days that I feel super low and super off, it's like, oh, yawning, nervous system settling in. Beautiful. We love that. But you guys, be gentle with yourself with this, because we might not even know that we don't know what we're needing. You might not even realize that you're not giving yourself or are surrounding yourself with the things you might be needing. Because the thing is what we know is kind of all we know. And until we're forced in a way to look at that, and I recognize that I'm unique in a way that I'm doing this work every single day. I'm asking myself these questions every day. I'm looking within every day. I'm journaling and reflecting. And I don't say any of that to brag in any way, but that I recognize that I am front facing, looking at these things all the time. So it makes sense that I'm getting all this awareness, and that's why I want to share it with you. But how can you begin to do some of that work for yourself? Because the thing is the more that we heal it, the more optimal our life is going to be, the more enjoyable life is going to be. Because if we're hiding and scared to be in our own body and our own soul, we're constantly going to feel like something is wrong and something is off. So I gathered just a couple tips. I pretty much highlighted these throughout today's podcast, but a couple tips that I have for you guys is as always, find a therapist that is trauma informed that can help support you with this work. Mirror work is one of, and I think some people call it shadow work. It's doing that work that we might not realize we have aversions of, but the more work that we do, the more that they'll come up. And as 1 comes up, 2 comes up, then 4 comes up, then 6 comes up. And it's so important that we get proper support to help us with that. So finding an aligned trauma-informed therapist is going to be huge when doing this work. The second tip is to ground yourself and check in daily. This was something that I didn't realize. I was on a constant autopilot state of just go, 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 right? Chasing the next thing, avoiding pain, avoiding checking in, because I didn't want to have the awareness in a way. I didn't want to know the answer. I didn't want to face the pain. And so the more that we ground ourselves and check in with ourselves, the more awareness that we're going to have. And yes, it can be painful in the moment, but it can also give us those first steps needed to start to heal and to not repeat the cycle. Remember me saying my grandparents experienced the same thing, then my parents, then me? I'm in a position now where I don't want to push that onto my kids. I want to parent them differently because I have this new awareness and I've done the work. I think that that's a beautiful thing. And I think that our society as a whole and our generation as a whole has kind of settled into this new perspective of parenting, which is a beautiful thing. And so grounding yourself and checking in daily. A huge one that came up for me is if you're not feeling joy a lot of the times, you're often not giving yourself something. This was the huge indicator for me is I'm like, I haven't been happier or feeling joyful in a long time. What am I not getting? What am I not receiving? What is not in alignment? What is happening? It allows you to ask those questions. So if you find that you're not really feeling joy, you're likely not giving yourself something. And that's a part of your soul that's probably needing something on a deeper level. Keep asking yourself. Don't give up. If you ask yourself what you're needing and you're not getting an answer right away, keep asking. Keep being curious. Don't stop after one try. I know for me, I kept getting really frustrated because I'm like, I know that I'm not feeling joy, but my body just doesn't seem to be giving me answers. When I ask it what it needs, it's not telling me. It will tell you in the cracks of things, but be patient with yourself. Keep checking in and be kind. If it's something you've never gotten before, it's going to be hard to sometimes jump right to that answer. Maybe your mind gives you that answer right away and it's just something that you haven't been facing, but keep asking yourself and being gentle. Leaning into vulnerability, as I mentioned, is going to be huge. Leaning into those conversations we don't want to have with self and with others. The things we've been avoiding, the topics of conversation, the past pain, the past trauma, leaning into vulnerability is going to be huge. And then the last thing I have for you guys is to rate your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual brain 0 to 10. It will likely tell you which area is lacking, aka maybe where you're needing more support and what your soul might be needing. So those are my tips for you guys. That is what I have for you guys today. I don't want to overwhelm you because I know that this is a hefty topic in and of itself, and this is something that is going to be a unique journey for each and every one of you tuning in. But I wanted to pose this question because I think it's something that, should we not bring awareness to it or do the work on, we can literally go our whole life without recognizing that this is happening. Are you giving your soul what it's needing? Are you giving your inner child what it's needing? If not, it is never ever too late. If you're looking for support with this, I would absolutely love to connect with you. My link is below to book a free 30-minute call, and I would truly just love to hop on, see where you're at, do some of the work, set some goals so I can support you on your own unique journey. Thank you guys so much for tuning in this week, and I look forward to chatting with you all on Tuesday. Bye, you guys.
Thank you all so much for tuning into today's episode of Rewire to Inspire. I absolutely love connecting with you all, so make sure you're following me on Instagram. I am at Jessie Brown 13. If you enjoyed today's episode, please feel free to leave a review or share with someone you think would enjoy. I look forward to chatting with you all next episode. And remember, get out of your head and into your heart.